There we go. Let's get all these alerts off. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday Mindset, coming off of a weekend. We hope you had a great weekend. Obviously celebrated all your wins last week and then did not derail them over the weekend. And that is a big thing with Monday Mindset because sometimes that happens, and we're going to get into that. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, live with
TwoSistas. Hey, good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. This is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 6.0 on this Mindset Monday, August 7th, episode number 672. And I will double check that, but I'm almost positive it's 672. So Mindset Monday, obviously I went to kickboxing class this morning, and during the class, this was so weird. I felt like, and mind you, my hands are wrapped, so we have hand wraps, and then obviously my hands are in my gloves, and I feel something weird on my wrist, and I just couldn't figure it out. So anyways, in between rounds, I take it off, and I'm like, God, it feels a little itchy, a little sore. Got a little progressively worse, like nothing bad or anything. And then after the class, of course, I unwrap my hands, and the swelling's gone down a lot now, but I see that I have like a trail of like bite marks, and my wrist was swollen. Again, like, I can't believe how fast the swelling went down. I'm very thankful for that. But that could have, if I saw probably a bug or whatever it was that bit me, I probably would have freaked out during the class. So I'm very thankful and mindful on this Mindset Monday.
Well, those things occur, and, probably what was good about all that is that you did have a wrap. That probably helps in keeping the swelling down. But yeah, a lot of times people will wake up, first thing in the morning, they've already, got their things all organized from Sunday to, kind of like make sure they kick off their Monday morning, hopefully without a glitch. And how many times do you wake up and you do have a bug bite or whatever? And a lot of people, most people, I think it's actually all people, do sleep with their mouths open. And I always wonder, because you do. I mean, does something, sometimes people wake up and they've got this reaction, could have been a spider bite, could have been, all these different things that happen, that our body, it's a foreign object, a foreign entity entering into kind of our space. Well, thankfully it wasn't anything worse. And that's a good way, because obviously, who wants to start off their Monday morning with, something going on with their hand? Because we need our hands, we need everything, right? So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of foreign entities, shite, going on.
Oh yeah, that's always happening. I actually woke up to, and I turn all my alerts when I go to bed, like everything's off, so it's on silent, not even on vibrate. Because John has his phone, so if there's emergency or whatever, there's definitely one phone that we can get through to, and my call would still come through. I would probably see the light flash going on and off. But so I turned the alerts on as I was making the bed and getting that's my first thing to do every morning. As I make my bed, doesn't matter whether it's during the week or on the weekends, just something that is a habit that I got into. Really, I think when we first got married, because I never really made my bed as a kid, every now and then I would, but when we got married, it was a habit that I got into, and it's a good habit. Anyways, so I turn my alerts on, and all of a sudden this one ping comes up, and all of a sudden I hear retire, retire, retire. I thought, what is that all about? So I clicked to see what it was. And it was a prominent Republican senator speaking in Kentucky. And he is the minority leader. And obviously he's had some issues going on with his health, which, when we look at our mindset, from different aspects, from a consumer, from a citizen, and you have three prominent people that are involved with what goes on in our world. and they're, having some mental faculty and mental issues going on, I can see why people, retire. You have one that's, occupying the White House, which he's literally occupying the White House in the physical sense, in many senses. And then you have, obviously, another prominent female from California that apparently can't speak, has been in some very serious health decline. And they're basically, it looks like they prop her up to, say the answers of when there's a vote going on. And she's also quite elderly. You have the former Speaker of the House who's had her own issues here and there, but is again another one that should bye-bye. And then this latest minority leader who, you can't deny it. It happened. I mean, I like how people spin things. And I think we all kind of spin things to a certain degree. It's our nature to spin things, that whole piece about being vulnerable and, letting the ugly out or whatever. And so many people take pride in like hoarding out all that in so the rest of the world can't see. But I think there's something to say about vulnerability. You see the vulnerability of how our age impacts our daily lives, why people do retire. There are some very, very sharp-minded individuals in our world that have lived a beautiful, ripe old age to whatever it is, and are still very functional and still very mindful in the sense that they are acute in the awareness of what is going on. So it doesn't apply. I want to make sure our viewers and listeners understand that it doesn't apply to everyone. There are some people that unfortunately have some medical issues that have prevailed them into a certain situation. And at what time where does it get to? What point does it get to when their loved ones take over and say, like, it's time? Like you've served or you've been active, you participated, but let people that are vibrant, and it doesn't mean that they still don't add value. They certainly do in their own place and time, but this is the time to go be with your loved ones, enjoy, not the daily stresses. Even a routine is stressful at that age. And what I mean by a routine, I'm not talking about the routine that you get up, you read your newspaper, you enjoy your morning coffee, you watch your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever. You watch your favorite TV show. I'm not talking about those kinds of things. The habits of those that, the schedule, a grueling schedule, moving from one, state to the next, one meeting to the next. The stresses that are pretty evident you take on, usually at a young age. You start in, obviously we're talking politics, whatever it may be, whatever that career path is. Doctor, lawyer, politician, anything that's officer, fireman, like you take on these stress jobs, nurses, emergency workers, you take on these stresses and they really put you can only sustain that type of stress for so long before it kind of rears its ugly head. And we all know, like everyday people, we know you've had a stressful day, stressful week, stressful month, stressful moment. But stress is one of those silent killers that you may be in the midst of all the stress, but you don't really realize what it's doing to your mind, your organs, like everything. It really impacts all of those things. And that's a proven fact. And you can go look up how much stress really impacts your health and your wellness. So it's mind-boggling to me. And I think that's where people are pushing term limits. You've served. The other piece to it is just the question, why? And I think people get suspicious when you have public servants, making six figures. They might have started out, 5 figures, now they're 6 figures, but yet they come out with more property than some royalty like princes or princesses or queens or kings. They come out with more wealth So that's suspect. It's not even suspect, it's a fact. They come out with a lot more wealth than when they started. And if you look at the civil servant, what, their income is, that, pendulum is not really moving on it's just going, how is that possible on a civil servant salary? So you got that part going. And then the stress. I mean, you look at how many people had to, I'm going to give for instance, last week with Mitch McConnell, getting from him, wherever he was traveling. I guess he took a face plant, and then they bring him to somewhere where he has to speak. He totally blanks out, looks, he's not present. You see all the people that have to come to escort him off. Then he decides he wants to go back and speak. And then you have like Feinstein, where her aide is say nay, or, because she can barely speak. And then you got the obvious one occupying the White House. There's too many stories and clips that you can go look up those yourself. The point being, politics aside, these people are too flippin' old to be in office. And at what point do you say, so kudos to all those people that said, no, retire, it's time. And where are your family members to say it's time? And that's, I think for me, is more the egregious piece. I can understand why they don't get it, because they're like in La La Land. Where's your loved ones? I don't know.
Well, let's face it, everybody has a brand. And I think I'm only speculating that when you have a certain brand, and it's hard to give that up. And I get that to a certain degree, but then there's the logical, like why, for instance, the Congresswoman who just within the last couple of weeks initiated her durable power of attorney to her daughter. Now you talk about age and different things, but she's in California. How many times does she have to go back and forth to DC to fulfill her congressional duties? So I think it has a lot to do with the brand, for what that means to different people, and the power aspect behind that. That's my personal feeling on that.
And I think that I agree with you. That's probably why. But is that, then you have to think of the motivating factor. Now, are you talking about Pelosi on the duel? Or are you talking about Feinstein?
I'm actually talking about both of them, but specifically Feinstein.
Right. So my point being, she's not legally sound, and yet she's representing our country. But and I understand the whole brand piece. I get that, the power, the money, obviously, money rules, and in these, but that's my assumption, that money rules. But it makes you wonder, outside of the persons that we're speaking about, because their minds are not there. Their minds are not there to even make decisions. That's a fact. Well, I shouldn't say that's a fact. That's my opinion. It is my opinion. But it begs to differ that what kind of scummy, sickening, egregious family members that would keep pushing their loved one through this. I could never imagine. We were blessed with Dad, the way he retired, and really enjoyed his life to the fullest. Obviously, our mom, her life was cut short due to health issues and a heart attack. And, we always wonder how, what she would be thinking of all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're in a position where you, quote, are the head of the brand and you cannot make decisions, I would really hope that my loved ones would not keep pushing me out there because that the brand took precedence over their own well-being. That's what's mind-boggling. And good morning, Monster.
Good morning,
Good
Monster. I have a
So
visit.
for those that cannot see, Jam's got her monster dog, and he is a monster.
Yes, he is. He's a monster. He found his way in here. I hope you
see.
didn't enjoy any PBs.
I know it.
Hmm.
I know it. But it does make you wonder, like, where is their mind? Their mind, is it that greedy? Is it that greedy that it's more important that they push this? And let's face it, when you're pushing someone that's in some sort of decline, you could push them too far. And how far is too far? I think we're actually seeing that live playing out in front of our own country. And that, to me, it's sad, regardless that I don't care for these characters, regardless that I think all three of them, and I can add a few more to the list that are climbing up right behind them, because I think they've abused their power when they were in their right mind, when they were in their prime. They abused their power. They enhanced their brand monetarily. And we're finding out more and more just how sucky they were. And it needs to come out. You got to rip that Band-Aid off and just let the poison out, because you can't get to healing something or a country until you get the bleeding to stop, to get to rip that Band-Aid off and let it go. Let the ooey gooey, disgusting disease of power and corruption just gut it all out and start from new. I truly believe that. But how, you could say those things about our everyday people, everyday lives. How many times do you surround yourself with or put yourself in a position, not to that degree, obviously, but in the degree of compromise, the degree of, battling, good and evil every day, which we all do. But at the same time, because, we do things in a wrong way because we, to get more power, to get more. And the stress that adds on to live that life, because a lot of it is based on untruths. Untruths to, in their case, untruths to the American people, and everyday people, the untruths to, at the end of the day, to yourself. And I always say, we're not in control. We always talk about two things. We're not in control of how other people act. We're not in control of how they react. Those are the two things that we are in control of. And I do truly believe that at the end of the day, those that are that so deep in the dark hole of corruption or wrongful doing to people will meet their maker at some point. And wrong has a way of righting itself. So I do believe that. But to me, it's mind-boggling, that loved ones would let their loved ones, they would push them to that limit of, such a mental decline that's pretty obvious. And yet they're still pushing them to fulfill the brand, to keep going after the brands. And I think that's sad.
Yes, it certainly is. And, I relate it back to fractions and facades. What do they have? What do they have in common? How you break things up or how you try to cement and keep them together. Just my take.
Right. So Monday mindset, when you see, you wake up, in my case here, make my bed, and you hear that, obviously I went to the phone and said, what the heck is that? And as soon as I saw it, like, oh, brother, and I just put it down, because it's not in our control. I can't control it, and power to the people. I wonder if they're going to call that kind of, what is today? Today is August, today's the 7th. I wonder if they're going to call that the August 7th day. Like we got January 6th, maybe that's the August 7th day, because they were yelling out, retire, retire, retire. I wonder if they think that's a kind of an insurrection. I don't know.
And on that note, we want to hear from you. How did you like today's episode? What do you think about the term limits? And if you have any questions or concerns, or you would, of course, like to comment, we would love to hear from you. Go to our website, www.twosistas, online. Excuse me, you can leave a voice message or send us in a contact form. Well, that's it for this Mindset Monday. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 6.0, and I am with
TwoSistas. And before we close off, we do want to remind you that it is Monday Mindset. This is a day that you want to make sure that, did you organize? And you know what? If you didn't organize on Sunday, do it this morning. Find some nooks and crannies of your day. Try to map out your week. I promise you, when you map it out and you see it, a lot of people we know do it on the phone, but if you map it out in your planner, you will find that your days will go a little bit smoother. Also, as a reminder, make sure that you're scheduling time for that if you might need extra time. And what do I mean by that is add an extra 30 minutes here or there, especially where if you've got appointments, oh, it only takes me 10 minutes to get there. Well, you don't know. Here's a perfect example before we close up. You got an appointment at 9 o'clock. Oh, it's only, 5 miles away. It's going to take me 15 minutes. So I'll leave at 8:45. There's an accident. There's an ambulance trying to get through. There's a light broken. You spill something because you're drinking. Like all these little things that happen. So plan, and you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get there a little bit earlier. And if you get there a little bit earlier, maybe I give you a few minutes to check up on emails, your alerts, or text messages. So you're not so discombobulated. It's always good to make sure you add extra time into your daily schedule. We hope you have a great Monday mindset. Think positive. Remember, pour it out with goodness, kindness, and gratitude, and you will definitely feel that mind go in a really positive way. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. This is Naughty Boss, the other half of TwoSistas. Take care. Bye-bye.
I